So now I'm gonna go over the footage of me killing Uber Atziri with some commentary. So the footage is actually compiled from two different runs. This is the Vol boss fight. So something difficult about this fight is just that they hit really hard, and after you kill one, the other one enrages. So I made a mistake of killing one way too early and the other one enraged, and as you can see the damage was insane. But luckily this build was able to outleech the damage and I was able to defeat it relatively easily. So now just a couple seconds of me killing trash mobs so you know that what to watch out for. Just that there's so much range attack and sparks on the ground in Uber Atziri that you should just always be jumping and killing things. So this is also my first attempt, so I have in this season. I mean, so I made the mistake of just bad positioning, and I ended up dying here. So I now go back into the fight and make sure you kill the range mob first out of a trio. Yeah. So go in, kill this one, and then leave the large sword enemy for last. And he's down. So trio was one of the hardest part. And as for Uber Atziri, I am very rusty. You'll see why. I managed to get her down past her first form. The damage is quite good. So this is, if you're good, this should not be a problem. I'm not. But the damage was enough to blast her down to force out this phase. Right? And now I just build up charges. Okay, and this part is the boring part, but also the most important part where you slowly refill all the flasks, because the flask is going to contribute quite a bit to the next phase of the fight. So she goes into her split phase, and now for my number one weakness, I cannot for the life of me dodge the pizza blast, where she just does a flame blast underneath her. Every season Uber Atziri killer knows that's the easiest one to dodge, but I can't. I can't for the life of me dodge it. I don't know what it is, right? But I just can't. So the damage, as you can see, is pretty good, more than enough. And I'm about to die once again to the pizza blast. So yep, that's exactly what kills me. Now this clip is super laggy because I realized that my first attempt was at 2 a.m. after a day of work, so I was not focused. So I decided, why not do it in the afternoon? So here it is. My attempt in the afternoon. The footage is terrible. I think my PC is dying or something. Hopefully not some viruses and stuff. But as you can see, this run is so much smoother. There's a second attempt. Still going to be my first successful attempt. Spoiler. Sorry. And once again, I died to Pizza Blast. I know. It's okay. It's okay to hate me. Call me a noob. Whatever. So, going in. 2 portals left. I'm feeling pretty confident here. I go in and just kill her, dodge all the lightning traps, and the foot just froze up. Oh, I managed to dodge the large blast. And go in. Pretty decent dodges. Lightning Warper reduced duration is quite useful. Oh, now I got a ball mask and I got my challenge. And that's the successful Uber kill. So hopefully you enjoy that. So one main takeaway, oh, 2 main takeaway. One is that this build can do Uber Atziri. 2 is that you guys sucks at dodging Pizza Blast. So I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the commentary. Alright, let's quickly go over my Dark Pact Berserker as it is now. Right, I used this build to kill Uber Atziri, and this setup in particular. I'm dual wielding Apex Rage. And so I tried 6-link Pleasure Hand with Calm's Heart. I tried 6-link Pleasure Hand with just the Carcass Jack. And it is kind of interesting in that if you do Pleasure Hand setup, you will do much harder hits, which will make leech less of a problem. But at the same time, you don't get as much cast speed. So if you take a look, I'm doing 0.16 second per cast, which means I'm casting more than 5 times a second, which is actually even more frequent of a leech than, say, Blade Vortex, only by a little bit. So with this much frequency and this much DPS, as you can see, 135,000. And combined with Diamond Flask, which I'm using, and also the Wither Totems to increase chaos damage taken by enemies, I'm doing roughly 200k DPS a second, which is more than enough DPS to clear Shaper, to clear Uber, and the rest, honestly, is just practice. Now let's go over my gear, right? So 2 Apex Rage, that's a pretty good setup. You can also do Apex Rage and the really nice spell damage shield with spell crit chance and life and resist. That's a good option to try to fill out your resist in case you're missing some in your gear, and as well as getting more HP. But honestly, 6.5k or more, like 6k, something around that range is good enough for most in-game bosses, with the exception, say, Minotaur with like a damage mod. You will have trouble surviving like the major hits from him if you don't have, say, 7k HP. Just keep in mind that Berserker passive Ascension does make you take 10% more damage. And if you take a look at my helmet, I have reduced lightning warp duration. This is just a personal preference. I just really like having reduced lightning warp duration. You can also try Flame Dash. Obviously, if you're not using lightning warp, get a different enchant. Another good enchants are just the Dark Pact related ones. The Dark Pact cast speed, Dark Pact damage, and the Dark Pact AoE. All three are pretty good. Honestly, it comes down to personal preference, which one of those enchants you go for. Now, for armor, I tried different setup. I tried Calm's Heart. I just got way too used to Carcass Jack. I just love Carcass Jack, and the increased AoE does it for me. The increased area damage is just gravy, and the stats are really good. It's got life, it's got resist, and it's easy to resell because a lot of builds use Carcass Jack. For belt, you'll probably want to get a lot of life and a lot of resist. I also end up getting 16% reduced flash charge use, which is just a nice bonus. And as you can see, I got a lot of armor on my belt. That's something I'll talk about. As you can see right now, I actually have 1.6k armor, which is actually pretty solid. And if you take a look at what my flask, I have a granite flask with increased duration and 100% increased armor doing flask effect. That when I hit this, my armor shoots up to 10k, and then I have 54% physical damage reduction, which helps me tank through some of the hardest bosses in the game. I would recommend trying to roll for a granite flask with this much effect, because Dark Pact doesn't really benefit from a lot of unique flasks. And also, let's take a look at the gloves. Gloves, you can have any enchant you want, or you can even go for fingerless gloves if you're lucky enough to get fingerless gloves with good rolls, or if you can afford one, that's always a good choice. So you want life, you want resist. To fill out your resist, you want to make sure you're kept. For boots, I'm using Calm's Roots. Now, Calm's Root is really nice because compared to Blade Vortex, which is always hitting, Dark Pact has the downside of if you don't hit them often enough, and if you get stunned, there's a chance you just get stun lock and instantly die because you don't have that consistent leech going. So Calm's Root gets rid of that problem because of unwavering stance doesn't allow you to get stunned, and that's super convenient. So Calm's Root is something I would highly recommend, and I know it takes some getting used to not having the 30% movement speed, but you know, once you get used to it, it's really nice. And another thing you might grow to appreciate is that if you have Calm's Root on, you can ignore temporal chains mods on maps, which is usually something I absolutely hate. But Calm's Root stops all of that, so you don't have to worry about that particular thing. For necklace, obviously this is not Biscos, and this is complete heresy for me to not wear Biscos always. But like, yeah, for boss killing, you want something other than Bisco's color. And in this case, I went for spell damage and life as a priority, and the rest just filler. Resist is nice, stats are nice, and critical strike chance and critical strike multiplier are always nice. So that's something you can potentially look for. If you have the budget, get spell damage, spell crit multiplier, and then life, and then rest. So for rings, because of the essence, you can actually craft rings with chaos damage on them. So if you take a look at this ring, it's pretty nice. I managed to pick this one up pretty cheap. It's a diamond ring base with chaos damage, and also I was able to craft life on it. Life rolled the lowest roll possible. Feels bad, man. But other than that, it's a pretty decent ring. And same here, I went for diamond ring. I could not find another cheap chaos damage diamond ring base, so I went for whatever highest life I can find. This is actually a pretty beautiful ring. Yeah, so I managed to get this. It filled out my resistance very nicely. And aside from that, yeah, that's pretty much the gear. I have Atziri's Promise. It doesn't matter what rolls is on this Atziri's Promise. This one's kind of wasted because it's got really good rolls. Granite Flask with armor increase. As I showed you earlier, if I hit this, I get massive amount of mitigation. This is really useful. Surgeon's Divine Facet Dousing. I wanted something to remove Ignite, and the first Surgeon's is nice, but not mandatory. So technically this build does not need to have a life flask, but because Dark Pact self-damages, there are times when I cast so fast I damage myself. I don't want to go into the fight right after that with no health whatsoever, so I like to keep 1 HP flask around. There's the Mana Flask that, you know, this is a terrible Mana Flask, but this is just a placeholder, I guess. If you can roll something better than this, then great. On Diamond Flask, I have bleeding. Always make sure you have anti-bleed, so reduce charge use. Diamond Flask is pretty much the necessary flask for every single crit build, and so on top of that, the part of gear that a lot of time gets glanced over is the jewelries. So in my skill tree, I'm wearing really terrible jewelries. Mainly because all I went for, it was life and resist. Life and resist. Damage. Ah, there you go. That's a decent one. And yeah, some damage, life, resist. This is probably the best one I have out of all of them. So this is also not ridiculously expensive. So if you're looking for jewels, try to look for damage, life, and 1 resist. Or if you can get better, that's even better. So if I had ideal jewels, I can see myself getting a 10-20% DPS increase across the board if I replace 3 of my, well, actually 4 of my jewels. Actually, this is a very good demonstration of what's a good jewel, right? Critical strike chance, life, resist, and chaos damage. Yeah, something like that. But preferably, you want something better than crit chance. Crit multiplier will be worth more, and if you can get spell damage or something like that, that's even better. Okay, so that's generally, this is a quick overview of my gear, my setup, and things like that. And some final thoughts about Dark Pact. I think it's a really, really powerful build. As you can see, it can clear all the in-game content. It can, when you slot in the increased AoE, you can literally blow through all the low-level maps super easily. You jump into a pack with Lightning Orb or whatever movement skill you prefer. In this case, if you're using Wand, it's either going to be Lightning Orb or Flame Dash. So you go in and just start Dark Packing away. And if you find yourself having problem with Leech, then definitely use Atziri's Promise until you have so much damage that you're out leeching even against single target. So for gems, not much has changed since my initial build. It's Arctic Armor, Enfeeble, Blasphemy. I just like Enfeeble in almost all cases. You can feel free to change that to Warlord's Mark if you find yourself needing additional leech. So because a build usually is tanky enough. So I have increased duration, cast when damage taken, immortal call, and blade vortex. Some people have asked questions about this. I like blade vortex here. It's because once I take a lot of damage, I start spinning. I mentioned earlier that the weakness of the build is that if you're not casting, you're not leeching. So you have to be constantly casting. This helps alleviate the problem because Blade Vortex, even at level 14 without any damage gems linked to it, will spin and spin, and if you get hit by a savage hit, even this basic Blade Vortex will top you off very well in boss fights. So if you get hit by a boss and couple adds, you're not gonna die as easily. So Wither Totem, Spell Totem, yeah, increased duration, faster casting, that's something I just enjoy. Another thing you can potentially try out is Arcane Surge. I find myself not needing it, and I also don't like to keep track of so many things when I fight. But if you link Arcane Surge, you can actually get some nice DPS boost, bringing your DPS even higher. Lightning Orb, of course, less duration, faster casting, replace it with Flame Surge, should you prefer that. And that's about it. If you have any more questions, please feel free to leave a comment down below, and I'll try to answer them as fast as possible. And for those people looking at my inventory, you'll probably see these gloves. You see Voidbringer, and you see Katava's Thirst. This is something I'm going to try out before I switch out of Dark Pact back into Blade Vortex crit to make my final full crit Blade Vortex conclusion video. So Voidbringer, Katava's Thirst. Maybe it's time to be a little hipster. Yeah. Okay. So thank you so much for watching and to hear me ramble. Yeah, I jabber on, and I did this in one take, unlike my last videos, and hopefully this is watchable. And I appreciate you taking your time to watch my video, and I wish you all luck. And see you next time. This is that Yi guy. Good luck.